you see there's an extra one in there, item number 2, and Pauline and I are happy with that. So I'll put that motion. All those in favour? All those against? Thank you, that's carried. Right, now, we change round for number 7 to make life easier, I'm told. We're going to suspend standing orders for item 7. I'm happy to move that, and Kelly's happy to second it. So that's good. There's no debate on that. So there's all those in favour? Against? Thank you. That's carried. Now, staff will present a general overview of where we're heading, please. Thank you.
I'm just going to, thank you, Your Worship. I'm just going to make some opening comments and then I'll hand over. So I just want to outline the future transport strategy as a broad strategy for the whole district to guide transport planning investment over the medium term. It does provide council with a number of potential levers to address emerging issues, technology, opportunities and target government funding. The strategy is not intended to be anti-car, but it recognises that as the city grows, choices will need to be made to address real issues the city faces as congestion, hazards and safety. We do need a plan to plan for our future transport. We have an opportunity to plan well now to avoid some of the issues the other larger cities already face. Noting this is a strategy, the implementation priorities will be key. They will be more tangible actions. An implementation plan will be brought back to council in due course. I will now hand over to Mark and then Samantha will outline the next part of the session is intended to run.
Thank you, John. So just briefly, you've received 2 documents. You've received a revised draft strategy, and in that revised draft strategy, there's amendments that have been made in response to submissions, and you've heard deputations. There's also within that document, the revised draft strategy, minor changes that have been proposed by councillors. The second document you've got is a table of requests that have been made by councillors additional to the minor changes in the strategy. However, those requests that are in the table are not reflected in the revised strategy. Any changes to the draft strategy to reflect what is in the table will be subject to resolution on each of those items, and I'll hand over to Sam now to just talk through the process in terms of that.
So the process today, you've all got a flowchart. So we'll first ask that recommendations 1 to 6 on screen are moved and seconded, and that's to get the draft strategy on the table. Following that, we've got the table of proposed councillor amendments, A1 to A20. We'll go through those one by one. The mover will confirm if they want their amendment to proceed. The mover will confirm if they have a seconder, and then there'll be an opportunity for councillors to ask questions of the mover and of staff. We'll then ask if there are any further amendments to the table. We have received a few via email, so we'll have those ready, and if there are any other outstanding amendments that councillors want to put forward. Depending on the quantity and scope of those proposed amendments, we may need to take a break for staff to put together some staff advice on those. So when we come back, staff will have an opportunity to provide any additional information. And again, councillors can ask some further questions. Following that, we will hold one debate. That will be 3 minutes per councillor, and that will include a debate for all of the amendments and the draft strategy as a whole. Following that, we will then vote individually on the amendments. So we'll go through them one by one. And if councillors can be really clear if you want to vote against or record any abstentions. Once we've been through all of the amendments, we'll then vote on the substantive motion. And so that is on the draft strategy, which incorporates all of the code amendments.
Thank you, Tim. Right, we have some questions.
Can I just have a question on process, please? I see that we've been given another hard copy of this today. Is there any difference in this from the copy that we were given yesterday?
So my understanding is the only difference is there was a slight numbering change where one of the
But
amendments
nothing substantive.
was substantial.
Thank you.
And Tyler.
Actually, this is for point 2, asking general questions.
We'll do process first.
Yes, we'll do process first. This is just councillor questions at this stage are the high-level ones on general items, not the amendments. That's now. And if the amendments one comes later.
Yeah, sure, that's it.
Okay, happy? Okay. Right. So that's all cool. So to get recommendations 1 and 6 on the table, I'm happy to move it and Pauline's happy to second it. There's no vote on that. So we now go to the page, the amendments A1 to A20. And so the mover in most cases is Sam at the moment, and he will go through them one at a time, tell us who the seconder is, and any additional information staff may be able to provide, confirm the amendment's going to proceed, confirm they've got a seconder, and any quick questions of the mover or staff going forward. So number 1.
So I think the second is Melanie. No, I'm just kidding. It's James.
Yes.
James is seconding all of mine.
Yeah, so I've seconded all of those, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Okay, number 1.
They are what they are. Sorry. They are what they are. I don't propose going through them individually. Yeah.
Right.
Questions.
So how we're going to do the
Well, we'll
questions
do
on...
the questions where people can question the mover, the seconder, or staff.
Right. So... Yes.
We've got Sarah.
You've got number 1 right up to number... Sorry. Ooh. 16. 1 to 16 are Sam and Jamie's amendments, moved and seconded. If anyone's got any questions on any of those between 1 and 16, please ask.
Could they identify the number?
And tell us the number that you...
Yeah. The mover
Good.
or
So
the staff.
Sarah had the first question, then Tyler.
Thanks so much. Just on that question 1, is there, instead of removing the diagram, is there a way to add context instead to clarify the wording that Councillor McDonald was thought was confusing?
That
Yes.
that is an alternative to what Councillor McDonald has put forward. Ultimately, that would be through, firstly, a vote on that amendment.
Yeah.
If you consider it's not appropriate, then obviously you'd vote on that accordingly. But to your alternative of putting forward, keeping the diagram and any changes you want to make for clarity that it's...
But we could put an amendment up that just said, so if we voted down number 1 and put an amendment up that said for staff to add some wording to clarify that it is not a target and it's just, and then it's one of those grammatical things that gets delegated to clarify the wording rather than us wordsmithing in the meeting. Yeah.
There's a general delegation proposed
Yeah.
in 1 to 6 that allows delegation to John Higgins in liaison with the Mayor and Deputy Mayor, I believe.
Yeah, and when it comes to the actual style and communications, we often get accused of things being too wordy and stuff. And my understanding is that's why we'd added more diagrams into the document. Is that right?
As they say, a picture paints 1,000 words. It's a method of simplifying simplifying for some of the audience what they would otherwise not take away from words.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks.
Just to add to that, it has caused some confusion, and that's why the staff comment there is to remove it. And we've had a number of feedback that sort of has been confused about that.
Yeah, did you look at clarifying the wording instead though?
It was more the table that was being sort of
Diagram.
the diagram, sorry,
Yeah.
that was being raised as confusing. There could be wording instead.
Yeah. Or multiple diagrams, like these are different possible options.
Yep.
Okay, thanks.
All right. So Tyler, please.
Good guys. Few for you and then one for Sam.
Number.
Sarah's one's been asked.
We're doing 1 to
Sorry, I'm just trying to go through a lot of them. There's a couple of questions I have. Number 6.
Number 6.
Can you clarify that he's asking the move and seconder or staff?
Yeah, that's a good question. Are you asking Sam or are you asking staff? Not
For
asking me.
staff.
Yep.
I'm
fire
not
away.
really clear on the staff feedback as to which way you want to lean in regards to the reference on Amendment 6.
We have provided information.
Does that mean that you want to keep it in the draft strategy?
I don't mind. The question was, can we provide a range? And the answer to that is yes, we can, but we'd need to source it from a different data set because the 9% figure that we have in there was from a one-off study.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next question for staff is, do you have further clarity yet on the basis for change on Amendment 4?
Sorry, mate, which one? What number?
Number 4?
Number 4. Sorry.
International freight.
No.
No, we don't.
No, we don't.
That'll lead me to my question for Sam, is what the basis is for the change. Amendment 4, which is the prioritising urban freight part. Oh, sorry, I'm going off the pink sheet. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just trying to read through my scanned notes to see which one it was.
So this was the
Oh, I
one-
just didn't think it should be in a strategy.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. That's
Right, it's
it.
hard to read on this because I haven't scanned it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Most of these are pretty clear cut, but thanks so much for that.
Okay, Sarah, and then Mel.
So just following up on that one, I'm just checking with Sam on the intent of it. So there might be things that we don't need yet, like congestion charging, those kind of things. But if the government changed the rules, would you expect us to then consult when the government changed them ahead of when we need it? Or would you like us to wait? It's just not clear from that.
Yeah, so you might have seen in one of the other amendments it was around working within the government levers that are there. So it's already in there.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that if the government lever turns up for something, do we start working on that then? Like if they bring in congestion charging in the next year, but we don't actually need it for 10 years, your amendment kind of assumes that we could start doing it in a year when we don't really need it.
No, the amendment says we can, well, the other amendment says we can consider the levers that the government put in place.
Yeah.
I don't,
Yeah.
can I be, I don't know if I can be clearer, but yeah.
Okay. Happy to consult on that next year.
Melanie.
3 questions. One, so this is amendment number 8, which is Councillor McDonald's about, so on page 27, like the staff have said, clarity sought on the basis for additional changes, so just wondering if you could answer that. What did you want added?
Oh, just added in, it was.
You got your button on, mate?
Sorry, it's the adding in more information around the footpaths.
It already says poor
8.
footpath condition presents trip hazards.
It says already on this page, poor footpath condition presents trip hazards, blah, blah, blah. Like, what else did you want? And it says improving footpath condition and safety is a priority. What else did you actually want
Improvements
added?
needed to be.
Because your amendment's very vague.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Add and improvements needed to footpaths. To be safe and trip hazards. Footpath conditions.
Number 8 on page 27.
It's probably actually not needed because I've just written in my notes add and improvements needed to footpaths, but like you've said, it's already there. Improving footpath condition and safety is a priority. So, yeah. That's fine.
Take it out. Is that what you're saying?
One less to vote on.
Take it out. Yeah.
Okay, and then
Only one, Mel.
well, we'll see. Number 14, I think it is, which is page 37. So I've got it's
yeah.
Councillor McDonald's, but I've got a question for staff first. What does on the horizon mean in terms of a time frame? Is that like, imagine, because this is 30 years, it's sort of when is that envisaged to be?
It would
that would be determined through the work that we would do to map out the implementation, which we've
But
signalled.
what sort of time frame are you thinking? It's not going to be 3 years, is it? It'll be 10, 15, 20, or could it be 5? Or is it non-defined?
I think we would, as I said, we would need to determine that through implementation. On the horizon is intended to denote work that isn't already in the work program that we would get to further down the track. So
because I guess the reason I presume for Councillor McDonald's amendment is about the need for certainty, which has been added somewhere else for developers. So the time frame of on the horizon is actually quite critical to that, because if it means in 2 years we're going to look at the city plan again and change a whole bunch of stuff, that's not going to make anyone particularly happy.
Okay.
So that is actually quite important.
The what's referred to as the Central City Transport Plan is the Accessible City chapter of the Christchurch Central Recovery Plan. We don't think we can look at the Accessible City chapter in isolation of any refresh or future revisiting of the recovery plan. The two work together, reflecting the integration of transport and achieving the urban form outcomes for the central city. We need to better define what the issues are with the recovery plan and accessible city before we embark on a full review or refresh or whatever we call it. We haven't done that scoping, so we need to keep it general at this time. We can't commit to a time frame until we know what the issues are that need resolving through that review.
So what would be an approximate time frame then? You can't give one. It makes it very difficult to determine whether that should remain or not.
Ultimately, this is a strategy and not a plan, and
I realise that.
And Jane's spoken about implementation following, but at a high level, we'd be looking at the medium term, so a 3 to 10 year period.
Okay. Have I got that correct? My interpretation about uncertainty.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And then.
So sorry, what have you just done then?
It still stands.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then my last question is number 19 for Councillor Donovan.
Oh, we're not onto those. We're only doing 1 to 16. They
Yeah,
have been moved to
just
second.
stands ones at the moment.
All right. Cool.
Okay.
Thanks.
Tyler, please.
So I might have missed this, but staff noted quite a few parts in here in your commentary that a lot of this has already been melted into the strategy. So would that mean that some of these amendments aren't really needed? Yeah, because I'm looking at number 2 from Councillor McDonald. There's a couple of other ones.
I think that's probably up to you to determine. So there's a move in, a seconded for this. You've got the staff advice. Staff can't now give you direction whether you vote in favour of it or not.
Oh, it just seems odd if it's already been melted in, then why are we voting on it again?
Yeah, so the advice is there, and I think we just have to leave that standing rather than asking staff to tell.
Okay, so then that means by way of process, if you're referring to 1 to 6 in the motion that's been put forward, then if Councillor McDonald did get this approved, then he could change the wording within the strategy, even if it's already melted in. Is that what I'm hearing?
If the vote on that particular amendment, using A2 as an example, you'll come to vote on that as to whether it's accepted or not. And as an outcome of that, we'll then amend or not the strategy to reflect that.
Okay, I'm really happy with the amended draft version that you've already produced. So, okay, that's all right. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll move on to the other ones, Mary.
That's all the questions on.
Any questions on, well, first cab up is number 17, Andre's one. Any?
He withdrew.
Number 17, yep.
So before we move on, can I just clarify that the seconder is happy with the withdrawing of number 8? So you're with James, you're happy with about, yeah.
Okay, righto. So hang on a minute. You've got a question on Andre's one, Yanni? On 6.
We've moved on from there.
We're actually up to number 17, mate. But do you really want to talk about number 6?
Oh, sorry, it's just, I'm still, like, the amendments that are here, where there's no sort of clear amendment, I'm just confused why we've got them here.
So, as I expressed yesterday and reaffirmed this morning, the table, each line item will be voted on. There is a overriding resolution for delegation to be given to the GM for strategy planning and regulatory services to then, based on that resolution, to draft text to reflect in the strategy with agreement from the Mayor and Deputy Mayor.
Right, so the resolution, like on number 8, is, number 6, is basically to adopt the staff advice as part of the strategy.
No, at the moment, the Councillor MacDonald and Councillor Goff have put forward their proposal, and the staff advice is just there to advise, to give you advice so you can vote for or against.
But the staff have put suggested text. So where it says the following could be updated, and then they've quoted text.
Which one are you referring
Number
to?
6.
So if the council voted in support of that tabled amendment from Councillor MacDonald, then we would introduce that text into the draft strategy, which is not currently there.
Right. So shouldn't that text just be put into the substantive of the amendment so that we're really clear about what we're voting on?
It was only the minor amendments that were incorporated into the strategy. These are separate amendments that, when voted on, could be incorporated.
I understand that, but at the moment you've got an amendment that doesn't reference the text, and then staff comment that does reference the proposed text that's not incorporated into the amendment.
So you could foreshadow a motion if you wanted to.
Or just vote against it or for it, whatever you want.
Yeah.
Okay, right. So now we are up to number 17, which is Andre's one. Has anyone got any questions of Andre? Yanni and Mel.
This is more a question. Yeah. This is around the footpath issue.
He needs a seconder first before we start.
I can second.
I'm happy to second it. I
Right.
just wanted to check with staff if there could be a noting provision that will also review the infrastructure design standards.
You'd have to move and second that.
Right, because this was raised at the hearing, and I did raise this question verbally. So, have we got any sort of response on what's happening with the infrastructure design standards? Does it need a resolution, or can we just pick this up under a separate process?
A review is underway of the IDS. I think you could add a resolution along those lines, noting.
So it's generally a new build. So basically, we set standards for subdivisions through this, and at the moment, we don't require developers to provide footpaths in some subdivisions on both sides of the street, or even possibly, I think, in other cases, is even further out.
Start making alternative noting provisions in your final resolutions.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, no, you'll have. So, Yanni is seconding Andre's one, which is number 17. So now we have Celeste's one, number 18.
I'll second this.
So, are you going to second that one, Yanni? Okay. So, have we got any questions on that, please? Or we just go to the next one?
Any questions? Yeah, Celeste's on mine. Yes. Yep.
Okay. We'll go on to, righto, we'll go on to number...
Question
Sorry, sorry.
I just have a question around that one.
around your own amendment, Celeste. Yeah.
I think it might have been picked up slightly differently to what I'd requested. I just sent through, it was transport equity, not investment.
That has been picked up.
Okay, great.
In in your recommendation number 20, Councillor Donovan, there were a couple of different requests and the things you sent through. Do you want both of them, I guess is the question.
If possible, and if that makes sense.
That is what is detailed there, yes.
So we are talking about 18 at the moment, aren't
Yes.
we? Yep.
Additional references. Okay, I'll if it's all right, I'll just come back to that. I'll just have another wee look at that. Thank you.
Can I ask?
Well,
Hang on, we're getting a bit out of gear here.
So are you withdrawing your amendment and you might come back with it because it's been moved and seconded?
No, I'll keep that one in there. Thank you.
Okay, so
And if I have any further questions, I'll send them through.
18 or 19?
Thank you. 18.
that's
I'll
18.
keep both.
She's leaving 18 in there, and Yanni's the seconder. So we are now on to. Hang on, we've got a couple of questions. We've got Melanie and then Aaron.
Sorry, I can't actually see where that change would happen on page 13. Like where doesn't mention transport equity at all.
So this is, I think this is.
So,
No.
in respect of the request numbered 18, the point that was made by Councillor Donovan has been responded to as a consequence of submitted feedback. That's why it's not highlighted in the draft strategy.
I was looking for the phrase transport equity, that doesn't have the word transport there.
So does that mean, Celeste, you're happy to take that out because it's been responded to? It's not required. Be one less to have to vote on.
I think the point that I was making was both are important. Equitable access and transport equity have a different definition. So if that's been answered, then that's great. But if we just focus on equitable access, you're only got one of the two wheels.
So you just want the word transport put in there?
It's in there.
Well,
it's in
equitable access and equitable transport are two different things. So one's about investment and one's about access.
So the commentary below the heading equitable and inclusive access, does that cover what you're asking for, Councillor Donovan? Page
No.
13. Because it does mention transport systems that prioritise people, ensure everyone has access, etc., etc. So that commentary, that para there.
I think that they refer to different things. So if you're talking about access, it's very clearly around people with different accessibility needs. But if you're talking about prioritising investment to areas that are historically underserved, that's about transport equity. So trying to sort of push those two concepts together gets a bit messy because you have to have prioritising the investment as well as the equitable access.
It does mention, though, beyond the ability stuff, it does talk about financial means.
Yeah.
It does talk about equity for financial stuff.
Yeah. So
You won't have the bit of paper that we got
you
yesterday.
got that in front of you.
But the financial means that if you, it's around, again, that's about access. But if you don't have the infrastructure, so you can maybe get a subsidy for a Metro card, that's financial means in my mind. It's not actually about investment.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
Yeah.
She's got this version.
Okay, I'll just read this out. It says, everyone has access to activities critical to their daily needs, regardless of age, ability, or financial means. An inclusive transport design approach puts the user at the forefront, addressing the needs and functions of diverse users. We pay particular attention to people with disabilities, seniors and children, to promote equity and provide the necessary support where it's most needed.
Yep. So that is about equitable access, and that's very clearly about that. But if you look up transport equity, it's got quite a different definition. So therefore, I'd prefer that be added in as a separate goal or item under that.
Can we move back and come
Yep.
back with some advice on that?
Well, sure.
Because it's
Can
probably
Celeste tell us the definition of transport equity?
I've just sent that one through. Let me just read that out now. So,
It's probably the wrong section too, to put it in. It's not the,
You can see the stuff that's on our screen, can't you, Celeste?
Yes, I can. Sorry, it's just hard to flip between all the different screens. I've
'Cause I think
emailed that through to you as well, Sam. So hopefully you'll have that as a bullet point.
On the Ōtautahi site, it says equity means the benefits of investment in transport are distributed such that all people are able to participate in society.
yeah.
So what it says here, from what I understand, is transport equity is broader, ensuring transport is affordable and accessible for all, considering income, ability and other barriers. Equitable access ensures people with mobility impairments and vulnerabilities can use transport at the same comfort levels as others. So maybe there's just a question of around the definitions.
No, I think it's covered. I'm not quite sure if you've seen the new version where I think it's the bit that Councillor Templeton read out before covers it.
Sure. Okay, no, that's fine then.
So righto. So just for clarity,
Yes,
there's 18 vanished now. Have I got that right?
Yes, thank you.
Great.
18. Right. So we've still got a couple of questions floating around. First, we've got Tyler, then Aaron, then Tim.
Just for Celeste, just trying to get to the interest of it. Is it actually referencing? I guess we're trying to reference the east and ensuring that they get equitable transport opportunities out those ways.
But I think we've decided that it's already included, haven't we?
Oh, I guess that's what I'm trying to capture, is sometimes it's very high level, but you're not quite sure what you're actually trying to achieve, which
I
is
see what you mean.
making sure that where that's prioritised is in areas that are historically underserved by those types of infrastructure. So if it's captured elsewhere in more detail, that's great, but
yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so we have
wishy-washy.
Mary's happy it's captured.
That's fine.
Thank you, mate.
Thank you.
Aaron?
If 18's gone, I think mine's now covered. My question was around trying to work out what the underserved areas were.
But 18's out now, so just...
Right, yeah, just checking that there's no unintended consequences like a bus going through Clearwater.
Thank you.
No, no one there's ever asked one. They pay a fortune for the bus every year.
Right, Timothy, and then
certainly
Pauline.
don't want one.
Going kind of following on from my learned colleague over there, but in a slightly different way. Well, what you've learnt, we won't talk about here. With regards to equitable, don't we have to go hand in hand with ECAN with regards to this? Because if we're talking equitable...
It's off the table now. 18's gone.
18's gone.
But if we're looking at equitable, we do have to include our partners, don't we? Yes, we do.
But it's not
kind
yet.
yeah.
Thank you.
To the staff then. So we are hand in hand with ECAN with regards to equitable and the supply, because we're looking at although Celeste is concentrated on the east, but we've got we've got Hallsville, Hornby and Harewood. There are areas in those outlying areas, those new subdivisions that aren't really being served at the moment. So if we're talking equity, we have to talk about the whole city, don't we?
It's a broad term, so yes, it could include that.
Yeah. So, but the question is, we are hand in hand with ECAN with regards to transport, public transport.
Correct. To implement the strategy, we have to work with NZTA and ECAN as well.
Okay.
Right, thank you.
So we're still talking on 18, which has been taken away. Pauline?
I'm on 19.
Oh, right. So we're up to 19, everybody.
No, going back. I'm it's the same question to Councillor Donovan, that the response is that this has been addressed with additional text about earthquake risk management. So are we able to remove this one as well?
Is that a question for me?
Yes.
Yep. 19, number
1.
one.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, because the staff say the response is saying that due to wider submitter feedback, additional text has been added about our earthquake risk management and approach more generally.
And where has that been added? Because when I look at the page that talks about where we've got to with earthquake recovery, including the list of achievements, it doesn't actually reference the work that hasn't been completed in the eastern suburbs, which seems like a bit of a gap.
Councillor Donovan, we'll just ask the staff to identify which page it is so you can have a look.
Yep.
It's page 16.
Page 16.
Yep.
Yep.
Under which heading?
Yeah.
So it's building resilience into transport network assets, and what you put in red.
Halfway down the page, is that where you're looking?
Yeah, that's correct.
So do you want to, somebody at the end table, do you want to read out the paragraph?
Certainly. I would note that there is a section, there is a sentence that was already existing in the draft near the top that says we are still managing ongoing repair work from the earthquake sequence and completing this work remains a priority. Notes earthquakes and tsunamis are critical risks that we continue to plan for. And then in the building resilience into transport assets section, we did have, as noted, some requests from submitters. So we've added some additional text there. Following the earthquake sequence, a considerable amount of work has been done to build earthquake resilience into everything we do, and add some examples. And then an additional example has been added around the installation of a network of seismic sensors to assist us in our earthquake risk management as well.
And I think you've also got there, this enables the prioritisation of work to enhance their resilience. And that's kind of looks like what Councillor Donovan's looking for. So can we take that one out?
So the reason I was highlighting that was around page 5, in terms of that summary.
Achievements. Is that it? Post-earthquake recovery and rebuild, the achievements?
That's right, yeah. So it's great to highlight the achievements, but it sort of reads a little bit, what's
like
the word? Well, it doesn't really recognise the fact that if we're going to talk about earthquake recovery and regeneration, we should at least put some reference there to some of the areas that we're still working on, like Pages Road Bridge, and areas that haven't actually completed that. So it just feels like it's missing a bit of information.
But now we know that staff have addressed that. And so are you happy now?
Yeah, so just clarifying, as Councillor Templeton just said, page 5 is actually listing what's been done, and the rest of the strategy goes on to say what needs to be done in the future.
Right,
So,
okay. No, that's fine then.
is that okay?
So we can remove that, number 19?
Yes,
Thank
go
you.
for it.
Okay, so now we're up to number 20. Pauline, you're on a roll.
Well, once again, just asking Councillor Donovan if she's happy with the staff response.
Sorry, I'm just going back to that.
So it's page 10.
I sort of prefer mine, to be honest. It's a bit clearer in terms of what we're trying to achieve.
Okay.
All right, so leave that in there.
That's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, who was the second? Yanni was the second on that? Yep. Okay. And on here, I have a one more. Not on there, on here.
Yes.
Oh, are these the ones for after? The email through ones?
So
Sorry,
these,
Sam.
there's more on screen which have been emailed through, and I actually have some more that have been emailed through but won't be on here. I'm wondering if it's time to ask for any more and then take a break just while I collate them.
A lot of them are just wordsmithings. They're quite straightforward.
Yep. So shall we just check if there's any more? Are there any more now? And then we'll.
They're all very small.
So,
I have taken note of that, but if you've got specific wording, that would be helpful.
So we can, if we have a break, we can sort these little bits out.
Did you get mine, Sam? I sent through last night.
I've got yours. I've got Councillor Coker's. I've got one from Fields and Councillor Johansson. They're not all there.
So we need to take a break so that Sam can get them all up to speed.
Well, could we get them printed out?
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
we
we're
will.
just
We're
coming.
just, because they're just coming through. So if we can get, if there's any more that people have got that haven't already been sent to Sam, could you say them now? Then we can actually get more printed out and distribute them.
Okay, so we've
Can
got two questions and then we'll have a break so Sam can collate stuff.
No questions, just asking for
no.
more amendments.
No, this isn't an amendment. I've seen Melanie's amendments and I'm okay with all of it, but it seems like wordsmithing. Does it need to be an actual amendment? Don't we have a delegation for staff to change?
Sam will go through that and
So if possible, it might be easier if we get all the amendments up and then we'll go through them and clarify them and debate them rather than...
And lastly, Yanni, before the break, thank you.
So I just want to be clear, like, it seemed to me the staff advice is it would be good, helpful to have something that talks about the infrastructure design standards review. So is there a way we can just get some sort of noting provision, or I'm happy to do the amendment if you want, around recognising that.
So at the moment, we're just doing the amendments to the strategy, then we adopt the strategy and do the noting. Yes. So just to be clear, at the moment, we're just doing the amendments to the strategy. And once we've finished those, and we'll have all the amendments, we'll then go into those other noting provisions after that.
Right, but what I'm asking for is, do you need an amendment to the strategy to say that we're going to deal with some of the issues through the infrastructure design standard review? Like the issue of requiring footpaths to be built when we do subdivisions.
Note
on the report, isn't it?
That is not an IDS type question, I don't think.
Right.
All, just roughly here,
Width
all
of
subdivisions
sight
are built to a council standard. If they have a footpath on one side or the other, it's the council standard that has told the developer what to build. Okay? So he's only doing it to what she is only doing it to what we've asked them to do. Is that right?
And just to add to that, I think one of the issues being raised is where you have one subdivision done that has a footpath, and then you have a site next door that hasn't been developed yet, it doesn't have a footpath, and so on.
Yeah, it's very much council decision. So there's projects where council has decided not to build a footpath as part of a cost sharing agreement for infrastructure that needed to be built by a subdivision, but has built, the raised platform or whatever, but not the footpath, and then council would have to come back years later to do it as part of a separate budget. So that's kind of the issue I'm talking about there, but it's very much a council decision rather than a design standard.
And we don't require footpaths on both
I'm just trying to get clarity. All matters that don't pertain to the strategy will be noted in the adoption of the report.
Thank you.
They won't be bolted into the strategy.
No.
Yeah.
We're not adding them into the strategy.
Yes, and
thank you.
I've got the word break in the back of my head here. Aaron?
Once again, that if you have a hard and fast rule on the footpaths, you get unintended consequences, because a big chunk of my ward only has footpaths. I've got no footpath outside my house. Clearwater, I'll go back to that, they do pay a bit in rates.
So you can
Most
debate
of it,
that
no
when we're doing
footpath
the
on one
noting
side.
for-
No one complains.
You can debate that.
Yeah.
Okay.
It helps. Well, you'd fall off the hill if you put a footpath
Righty-ho,
on.
righty-ho,
check.
righty-ho.
Just
When we're
We'll
looking
do it
at
all in just fire in any amendments and we'll go through
I
them.
just check clarity of definition. Like, so when people are talking about footpaths, there's a difference in meaning in infrastructure between footpaths, shared paths, all of those kind of things. If we specify footpath maintenance, will that include shared path maintenance? Like, it's like, because when we're looking at, roading and footpath, maintenance, and one of the bits there, and one of the amendments says, add in roading maintenance, and I want to include and footpath. Do we have to say and footpath and shared paths and cycle paths, or does
she referring to?
Does cycle lanes and cycleways get included in the roading aspect for maintenance, and shared paths get included in footpaths?
I might defer to the head of transport over there to answer that question.
Just find somewhere where you can put it.
I was going to suggest you just take the word road out and just say maintenance, or maintenance of the transport network.
Well, the amendment is to add the word road in, right? So the one of the amendments is to specify roading maintenance.
Right, well,
Amendment are you referring to? Sorry, Councillor.
It's already in there. It's one of the amendments that was included already on page 13. It says improving road and footpath conditions. Residents often tell us that road maintenance issues are a concern. It's that kind of stuff, but it's like we also hear that footpaths aren't well maintained.
Why don't we just say?
Yeah.
No, I'm just trying to clarify the definition of wording in footpaths and things to know whether an amendment is needed.
Okay. So
I've already got an amendment in for it, so.
Okay, right, 11:30, everybody, and if we might need a bit longer, don't stress Sam, if you need longer, just do it. Thank you.